Hi folks, Connor from LANet here, joined by Adam. Today we're going to be talking about regulatory policy. So building off our previous video, so it was a deep dive into policy and everything you could do with it. We're going to be focusing on specifically regulatory policy today, kind of what they are, why you should be using them. And we're going to jump over into the portal, take a look at them in action. So yeah, Adam, why don't you take us away, tell us a little bit about what regulatory policy are and kind of how and why we should be using them.
Yeah, so regulatory policies are basically compliance policies within Azure that provide out-of-the-box initiatives that allow you to audit your environment. There's lots of different standards within that. So lots of built-in initiatives for different regulatory standards. So things like PCI compliance, NIST compliance, there's a UK government initiative. So these all apply to different organizations, whether you're processing card payments on your Azure platform or whether you're an NHS trust dealing with, patient information and things like that. There's going to be an initiative out there that sort of suits those particular needs and the sort of particular regulations that those companies are going to have to meet. So we put these in place for sort of private banks. We've worked with a couple of NHS trusts in the past as well. And it straight away you get that visibility over your resources, and instead of having to go through and audit all of your resources and what settings are applied to them, you have that peace of mind that you've got that governance there that's applying those settings for that standard automatically. So you don't have to spend a lot of time auditing those resources and going through and putting those settings in place. They'll just be there out of the box, and as long as you're remediating your policies. So yeah, why use them? So they help align your environment with government standards or private standards and things like that. They're ensuring you're meeting those baselines and making sure that your environment's up to scratch. And they're making sure that any data you've got within your environment is protected by those standards as well. So it's not just a case of making sure your environment's secure or things like that. It's protecting the data within the environment as well, and just making sure you've got that visibility too. So yeah, here we've got a couple more details on the individual standards and sort of what those cover. So like we said, there's CIS, Microsoft Azure Foundations. We've got the UK official and UK NHS, which applies to all those government organisations. We've got PCI DSS for cardholder data if you're processing transactions on your platform. And then we've got the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark as well, which is another set of Microsoft guidelines and bits and pieces that they've put together that are recommendations for their Azure platforms. So Connor, I think we're going to jump back into the Azure portal now and have a little bit of a demo.
Yeah, so let's jump on over there. So we just kind of want to take a look at, where you're going to find these policies. So if we come over to, our Azure portal here, and we're in our policy overview, we can hop over into definitions and take a look and search for these. So as anyone who's used Azure Policy knows, there's countless policies in here. Luckily, we can find these regulatory ones a little bit easier by coming to our category filter here and looking for regulatory. So regulatory compliance is a category in here. And in our case, we also want to look at the initiatives, as it will split out all of the regulatory policies individually in here as well. So, yep, as we can see, some of the ones we mentioned, this CIS, and let's sort these by name, so a bit easier to see them. So yeah, we can see all of the various versions of the CIS Microsoft Azure Foundations benchmark, as well as some of the NIST, as Adam mentioned, as well as those PCI ones as well. So let's just jump into the CIS one. I mean, take a little bit of a look at what these look like in the portal, because they do look and probably will look a little bit different to how some of our initiatives you might have dealt with look in the past. So, well, yes, these do have your big old list of policies because these typically are a compilation of a huge amount of policies. They also use a group system under initiatives where they can then group these policies within the initiatives themselves. So they can group them down to, say, diagnostic settings, to settings for particular resources, ensure activity logs exist for certain conditions, to ensure certain defender settings are met. So again, it's really just these sort of policies and initiatives are really just huge collections of these regulatory policies, all of which will kind of audit your environment to ensure you're up to in this case, the CIS standard. And now, given that there are over 208 policies in this initiative, it can be quite daunting sometimes to go and apply this and say, well, where do I start? Now, with the CIS and with a lot of these regulatory policies and bodies, you're going to find that there's quite a lot of support and documentation. So if we jump over to that, we have here the CIS Microsoft Azure Foundations Benchmark documentation. You can find this on the Center for Internet Security's website. This is a 600-page plus document that is going to sort of guide you through every single policy that is part of the Azure initiative, what impact it's going to have, how to remediate it. So if we sort of just jump right into the middle of it here, we can see one of the first policies. So this ensure security defaults is enabled on Microsoft Entra ID. And this is a manual sort of remediation one here. This will guide you through why this is in this set, what's it going to do, and how you can both audit it, and then how you can both remediate that. It gives you some more additional information there. So again, these are big policy sets with a lot there to sort of bring your environment into compliance. But again, there is this large documentation here to sort of help guide you through getting those policies compliant and getting your environment compliant, right?
Yeah, and I think this is where some of these initiatives can sort of become really powerful. They've got this really good supporting documentation with them. And I mean, as much as Microsoft detail all their policies anyway, documents like this can be really helpful because it shows you exactly what it's going to change within your environment. And if you need to take in this to a CAB meeting, for example, you can reference these documents, and it's really helpful to get everybody in your organization on the same page. And it can really help support getting those policies in as well.
So they're really important, and they can be big and daunting. But like I say, there's plenty of documentation out there, plenty of the official documentation to help you get compliant, and again, sort of roll these policies out into your environment and ensure you're compliant with them. So yeah, I think in our case, that's probably all we have to say about kind of regulatory compliance there today. So we want to thank you all for watching, and we do also want to invite you, anyone in the UK. We currently have an event coming up on the 19th of November. So if you want to come and join us at the Rutland Hotel and Spa, you can sign up at that link there, and there'll be a link in the description as well. We are hosting an event alongside Ingram that will be covering some cost savings and security, as well as the opening of the Microsoft Ignite conference. So we'll be watching that together. So if you can come by, please come by and join us. Tickets are free, and there'll be free food and drink as well. So yeah, come on by, and I hope to see you there. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.